What happens when one wild night at a work party spirals into divorce papers on your kitchen table? How did I go from thinking it was all just harmless fun to watching my husband gather evidence against me? Can one night really destroy a marriage, or did I just make it easy for him to finally walk away? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. The music was too loud, the drinks were too strong, and I was having the time of my life. My name is Adelis Vane, and I'm 32 years old. I work as an office administrator at Meridian Solutions, a mid-sized consulting firm downtown. That Friday night in November changed everything. I should have gone home after the official company party ended at 8. Michael had texted me 3 times, asking when I'd be back to help put our 6-year-old daughter Lila to bed. But when Ryan Beck from sales suggested we all head to Murphy's bar down the street, I couldn't resist. "Come on, Adelis," Ryan said, his hand briefly touching my shoulder. "When's the last time you actually had fun?" He was right. When was the last time I felt alive? My marriage to Michael had become a routine of work, dinner, dishes, and bed. No excitement, no passion, just endless monotony. At 29, Ryan was younger than me, charming, and actually paid attention when I spoke. Murphy's was packed with our coworkers. Kelly Tran from accounting bought the first round of shots. To surviving another quarterly review, she shouted over the music. The tequila burned going down, but it felt good. It felt like freedom. "Your husband's texting again," Kelly said, nodding at my phone lighting up on the bar. I glanced at the screen. Michael's 4th message. "Lila keeps asking where Mommy is. Please come home." "He's so controlling," I said, shoving the phone into my purse. "I work hard all week. Don't I deserve to have some fun?" Ryan moved closer. "Absolutely. You're an adult, not a prisoner." The validation felt intoxicating. Here was someone who understood me, who didn't see me as just a wife and mother, but as a person with my own needs and desires. After the 3rd round of drinks, someone suggested we dance. The small area near the jukebox became our impromptu dance floor. Ryan's hands found my waist as we swayed to the music. His touch sent electricity through me that I hadn't felt in years. "You're beautiful when you smile like that," he whispered in my ear. The alcohol made everything feel dreamy and consequence-free. When Kelly dared me to dance on one of the high-top tables, it seemed like a brilliant idea. "Do it," Ryan encouraged, helping me climb up. The table wobbled slightly under my heels, but I didn't care. I was the center of attention, finally visible after years of feeling invisible. My coworkers cheered as I moved to the beat, my inhibitions completely gone. Ryan's hand steadied me at the ankles, then moved higher to my calves. I should have stepped away, but the attention felt too good. Other hands reached up too. Someone from marketing, a guy from IT I barely knew. They were all laughing, all focused on me. "Adelis is letting loose tonight," Kelly shouted, holding up her phone to record. I laughed and posed for her camera, not thinking about where that video might end up, not thinking about anything except how alive I felt in that moment. My phone buzzed again. Through my alcohol-hazed vision, I saw Michael's name. This time he was calling. "Don't answer it," Ryan said, his hand now resting on my thigh as I sat on the edge of the table. "You're having fun. He'll survive one night without his wife waiting on him." I let it go to voicemail. The night blurred together after that. More drinks, more dancing, more of Ryan's hands finding excuses to touch me. When he suggested we get some air outside, I followed without hesitation. The cool November night should have sobered me up, but Ryan's attention kept me floating. He pushed me gently against the brick wall of the alley beside the bar. "I've wanted to do this for months," he said, leaning in close. I knew I should stop him. I was married, I had a daughter, but the alcohol and the validation and the desperate need to feel desired overrode every rational thought. His lips met mine, and I kissed him back. We were interrupted by Kelly stumbling out of the bar. "There you are. We're all heading to Jake's place for an after-party." The kiss broke, but the damage was done. I could see in Ryan's eyes that this was just the beginning for him, and in my drunken state, I wanted it to be the beginning for me too. I didn't get home until after 2 in the morning. Michael was asleep in our bed, his phone on the nightstand showing 7 missed calls to me. I crept into the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror. My lipstick was smeared, my hair was a mess, and I could still smell Ryan's cologne on my dress. But instead of feeling guilty, I felt exhilarated. For one night, I had been the star of the show instead of a supporting character in my own life. I washed my face and slipped into bed beside my husband, who didn't stir. As I drifted off to sleep, I was already thinking about Monday morning at the office and seeing Ryan again. I had no idea that Kelly had already posted that video of me dancing on the table to her Instagram story, tagging half our office in it. I had no idea that Michael's mother, Evelyn, followed Kelly on social media and checked it religiously every morning with her coffee. And I definitely had no idea that Michael had been lying awake for hours, waiting for me to come home, already planning what he would do if his worst suspicions were confirmed. Saturday morning hit me like a freight train. The hangover was brutal, but worse was the creeping sense that I had crossed a line I couldn't uncross. Michael was already up, making coffee in the kitchen when I stumbled downstairs in my robe. He didn't look at me when I entered. "Morning," I said, trying to sound casual. He poured himself a cup and walked past me without a word. "Michael, come on. Don't be like this." He finally turned to face me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Not anger, but disappointment so deep it made my stomach clench. "How was your night?" he asked quietly. "It was fine. Just work people blowing off steam after a long week." "Until 2 in the morning?" I bristled at his tone. "Yes, until 2 in the morning. I'm allowed to have friends and a social life, aren't I?" "Of course you are, but you're also a wife and a mother." "Lila waited up until almost 11 asking where you were." Guilt stabbed at me, but I pushed it away. "She's fine. You were here with her." "That's not the point, Adelise." Before I could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his jaw tightened. "It's my mother," he said, answering. "Hi, Mum." I couldn't hear Evelyn's words, but I could hear her tone, sharp and agitated. Michael's eyes found mine as he listened. "I see," he said. "Yes, she's right here." No, I hadn't seen it yet. My blood ran cold. "Seen what?" "I'll talk to her about it. Thanks for calling." He hung up and stared at me. "My mother saw a video of you dancing on a table at Murphy's bar. It's on Instagram." "So what? People dance. People have fun. Maybe if you ever came out with me instead of staying home every weekend, you'd understand that." "People dance, yes. But do they usually let their coworkers put their hands all over them while they do it?" I felt my face flush. It wasn't like that. Everyone was just having a good time. "Show me your phone." "What?" "Show me your phone. Let me see this video." "No, I don't have to prove anything to you. You're being ridiculous." Michael set his coffee cup down with deliberate care. "I'm being ridiculous for wanting to know why my wife was letting other men touch her in public." "They weren't touching me. God, Michael, you're so paranoid. Maybe this is why I don't want to come home to you every night. You suck the joy out of everything." He stared at me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "I see." Something about his calm acceptance scared me more than if he had yelled. "I'm going to take Lila to the park," he said. "When we get back, maybe you'll be ready to have an honest conversation about what happened last night." After they left, I finally looked at my phone. Kelly's Instagram story from the night before made my heart sink. There I was, dancing on the table, clearly drunk, with Ryan's hands on my legs and other coworkers reaching up to touch me. My skirt had ridden up higher than I remembered, and my expression was wild and uninhibited. But worse were the comments and tags. Half our office had seen it, including our HR director, Sarah Martinez. I tried to call Kelly, but it went straight to voicemail. I sent her a text. "Can you delete that video from last night? It looks worse than it was." She responded an hour later. "Already gone, but people screenshot everything these days. Maybe talk to Ryan. He was pretty handsy with you." My phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. "Hope you're feeling okay today. Last night was fun. We should grab lunch Monday and talk." The implications in that message were clear, and they terrified me. What had I started? When Michael and Lila returned from the park, our daughter ran to me with her usual enthusiasm. "Mommy, Daddy said you were sick last night. Are you better?" "I'm fine, sweetheart," I said, hugging her tight. Over her head, I met Michael's eyes. He had covered for me with our daughter, even though I could see the hurt and anger simmering beneath his controlled exterior. "Lila, why don't you go play in your room for a bit?" Michael said. "Mommy and I need to talk." Once she was gone, he sat across from me at the kitchen table. "I saw the video," he said simply. "Michael, I can explain." "Can you?" Because what I saw was my wife, drunk in public, letting other men put their hands all over her body while she performed for them. What explanation could possibly make that okay? It was just dancing. Everyone was drinking. Everyone was having fun. You're making it sound like something it wasn't. What it was, Adelis, was humiliating. For you, for me, for our family. My mother saw it. How long before Lila's friends' parents see it? How long before it affects your job? As if on cue, my phone rang. Sarah Martinez from HR. "I have to take this," I said. "Adelis?" Sarah's voice was professional but concerned. "I hope you're feeling well today. I wanted to touch base about some social media content that's been brought to my attention." My heart sank. "Sarah, I can explain. I think it would be best if we discuss this in person. Can you come in Monday morning? Say, 8 o'clock? "Of course. It really wasn't as bad as it probably looked. We'll talk Monday. Have a good weekend." She hung up and I stared at my phone in horror. Michael was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. "HR?" he asked. I nodded, suddenly feeling very small and very stupid. "This is what happens, Adelis. Actions have consequences. Your moment of fun is going to follow you. It's going to follow us. You're overreacting. Sarah just wants to make sure I'm okay. It'll blow over." "Will it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've damaged your reputation, embarrassed our family, and potentially put your job at risk. All for what? To let some guy from your office feel you up in public?" "It wasn't like that," I snapped, but even as I said it, I knew he was right. That's exactly what it had looked like. That night, Michael slept in the guest room. When I asked him to come to bed, he just shook his head. "I need some space to think," he said. I lay alone in our king-size bed, staring at the ceiling. The excitement and validation I'd felt the night before had curdled into shame and anxiety. But underneath it all was a stubborn defiance. Why should I have to apologize for finally having some fun? Why was Michael making this into such a big deal? I didn't know that while I was tossing and turning, Michael was downstairs at his laptop, methodically downloading every photo and video from social media that featured me from the night before. I didn't know he was taking screenshots of my text messages while my phone charged on the kitchen counter. And I definitely didn't know that he had already started researching divorce attorneys in our area. Monday morning came too soon. I dressed conservatively for my meeting with Sarah, hoping to project an image of professionalism and responsibility. But my hands shook as I applied my makeup, and I couldn't eat breakfast. Michael was already gone when I got downstairs. He'd left early to drop Lila at school without saying goodbye to me. The silent treatment was somehow worse than if he had yelled. At the office, I could feel eyes on me from the moment I walked in. Conversation stopped when I passed by, and I caught people looking at their phones and then at me, with expressions ranging from amusement to disapproval. "Adelis?" Sarah's voice came from behind me as I tried to hurry to my desk. "My office, please." The walk down the hallway felt like a death march. Sarah closed the door behind us and gestured for me to sit. "I'm going to be direct," she said, settling behind her desk. "Several employees have brought to my attention some social media content from Friday night that shows you in a compromising position at a company-adjacent event. Sarah, I know it looked bad, but it really wasn't." She held up a hand. "Let me finish. While what you do outside of work is generally your business, when it involves coworkers and reflects on the company's reputation, it becomes my business." She turned her computer screen toward me. There was the video, clear as day, showing me dancing provocatively on the table while multiple male coworkers touched my legs and thighs. In the harsh light of a Monday morning, it looked even worse than I remembered. "This is inappropriate behavior, Adelis. It creates a hostile work environment and puts the company at legal risk." "I was drunk. I made a mistake. It won't happen again." "I hope not, because this is an official written warning. Any further incidents of this nature will result in immediate termination. You'll also need to attend our next sexual harassment seminar, even though you completed one last year." The humiliation burned in my chest. A sexual harassment seminar, but I'm the one who was being touched. "You were encouraging and allowing that behavior in a public setting with coworkers present. That creates liability for us." I signed the paperwork with trembling hands, my face burning with shame and anger. As I left Sarah's office, I saw Ryan waiting by the elevator. He smiled and started to approach me, but I shook my head and hurried past him. The rest of the day was torture. I could hear whispered conversations that stopped when I got close. Someone had printed out screenshots from the video and left them on the break room table. When I tried to throw them away, Kelly stopped me. "Maybe just leave them," she said awkwardly. "People are talking anyway." "Thanks for the support," I said bitterly. "Look, Adelise, I'm sorry about posting that video. I was drunk too, but you have to admit, you kind of went overboard." Even Kelly, who had been encouraging me Friday night, was distancing herself now. I felt completely alone. At lunch, Ryan cornered me in the parking lot. "Hey, beautiful. Rough morning." "Ryan, we need to talk. What happened Friday night was a mistake. I'm married and I love my husband. It can't happen again." His smile faltered. "Come on, don't be like that. We had chemistry. Real chemistry. Your husband doesn't appreciate you like I do. You don't even know my husband. I know he wasn't there Friday night. I know he doesn't make you light up the way you did when you were with me." For a moment I wavered. Ryan was attractive, attentive, and interested in me in a way Michael hadn't been in years. But then I thought about Lila asking where Mommy was, and the disappointment in Michael's eyes. "I'm sorry, Ryan, it was a mistake." He stepped closer, his hand reaching for my arm. "Don't make decisions you'll regret, Adelise. Life is short. Don't waste it being miserable." I pulled away and went back inside, but his words echoed in my head for the rest of the day. That evening, Michael was waiting for me when I got home. Lila was at his mother's house, he explained. We needed to talk without interruption. "How was your day?" he asked, and I could hear the careful control in his voice. "Horrible. I got a written warning. I have to attend sexual harassment training. Everyone at work is talking about me." "I'm sorry to hear that." His calm response infuriated me. "That's it. You're sorry. This is partly your fault, you know." "How is it my fault? If you paid attention to me, if you made me feel desired and appreciated, I wouldn't have been so desperate for validation from other people." Something flickered in his eyes. "So this is my fault because I work hard to support our family? Because I don't party and get drunk and let other people grope my wife? You don't even touch me anymore, Michael. When's the last time you told me I was beautiful? When's the last time we went on a date or did anything fun together? When's the last time you suggested it? When's the last time you put effort into our marriage instead of just complaining about it?" We stared at each other across the kitchen, years of unspoken resentments finally surfacing. "I want to go to counseling," I said finally. "We need help." "Do we? Or do you need help figuring out why you think it's acceptable to humiliate your family, Because you're feeling neglected. I made one mistake. One night of bad judgment and you're treating me like I'm some kind of monster. One night, Adelise, you kissed another man, in public, after letting him and others touch you inappropriately. That's not bad judgment, that's betrayal. My blood went cold. How do you know about the kiss? Because I'm not stupid, because I know you, and because when I called Kelly this morning to ask what really happened, she told me everything. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. Kelly had told him about the kiss, probably about Ryan pushing me against the wall, maybe even about the things I'd said about my marriage. You called Kelly behind my back. I called her because my wife lied to my face and I wanted to know the truth. I didn't lie. You said nothing happened. You said it was just dancing. You said I was overreacting. Were any of those things true? I opened my mouth to argue, but no words came. He was right, and we both knew it. I need time to think, he said quietly, about us, about our marriage, about what I want for my future. Michael, please, I made a mistake, but I love you. I love our family. Do you? Because it seems like you love the attention you get from other men more than you love the family you have at home. That night, he slept in the guest room again. I lay awake until dawn, replaying every moment from Friday night and wondering how I had managed to destroy my life in just a few hours. What I didn't know was that Michael wasn't sleeping either. He was researching property laws, custody arrangements, and asset protection. He had already made an appointment with a divorce attorney for Thursday afternoon. The man I had taken for granted for 7 years was done taking me for granted in return. Tuesday morning brought another humiliation. When I tried to buy coffee on my way to work, my credit card was declined. Confused, I tried my debit card. Also declined. I called the bank from my car, my hands shaking as I navigated the automated system. Mrs. Vane? Yes, I see the issue. Your husband called yesterday and moved the funds from your joint checking account into a new account under his name only. He's authorized to do that as a joint account holder. He what? He also removed you as an authorized user on your joint credit cards. You'll need to speak with him about accessing funds, or you can apply for your own accounts. I hung up and immediately called Michael, but it went straight to voicemail. I tried his office line. Michael, what the hell did you do to our bank accounts? I protected our family's assets, he said calmly. Given your recent behavior and judgment, I felt it was necessary. You can't just cut me off from our money. I can, and I did. If you need cash for essentials, we can discuss it, but I'm not going to enable any more poor decisions. This is financial abuse. No, Adelis, this is me making sure you don't drain our accounts to fund whatever midlife crisis you're having. I've seen how this story goes. I'm not going to be the fool who loses everything because he trusted his cheating wife. I'm not cheating, aren't you? Because Ryan Beck seems to think otherwise. He's been texting you quite a bit since Friday night. My stomach dropped. How do you know that? Because I know my wife, and because I'm not going to sit back and watch you destroy our family without protecting my daughter's future. The line went dead. I sat in my car in the office parking lot, shaking with rage and fear. How had Michael become so cold, so calculating? This wasn't the man I married. At work, things got worse. Ryan approached me again, this time more aggressively. I heard you and your husband are having problems, he said, cornering me by the copy machine. Who told you that? Word gets around. Maybe it's time to stop pretending you're happy in that marriage. Ryan, I told you yesterday. I know what you told me. I also know what you showed me Friday night. That wasn't a happily married woman dancing on that table. His hand touched my lower back and I stepped away quickly, but not quickly enough. Sarah Martinez was standing in the doorway, watching us with a disapproving expression. Mr. Beck, Mrs. Vane, a word, please. In her office, Sarah's tone was ice cold. We discussed appropriate workplace behavior yesterday, Adelise. What I just witnessed suggests you didn't take that conversation seriously. Sarah, he approached me. I was trying to get away from him. Is that true, Ryan? Ryan's charming smile faltered slightly. We were just talking. Adelis seemed upset, and I was trying to be supportive. By touching her inappropriately in a public area of the office. I barely touched her arm. I saw where your hand was, Mr. Beck, and given the context of Friday night's incident, this creates a hostile work environment for everyone. She turned to me. Adelis, I'm placing you on administrative leave pending a full investigation. Ryan, you're getting a written warning, and if there are any more incidents, you'll be terminated immediately. I stared at her in shock. Administrative leave, but I didn't do anything. You created this situation with your behavior Friday night, and now it's affecting the workplace. Go home. HR will contact you within the week about next steps. The walk to my car felt endless. Coworkers stared as I carried my personal items in a cardboard box. The humiliation was complete. At home, I found Michael waiting for me. He was sitting at the kitchen table with a manila folder in front of him. You're home early, he said. I got suspended. Because of Ryan, because of Friday night, because my whole life is falling apart. Sit down, Adelis. Something in his tone made me comply. He slid a document across the table to me. What is this? A separation agreement. I want you to read it carefully. My hands trembled as I picked up the papers. The legal language was dense, but the meaning was clear. Michael wanted to separate. He was asking for primary custody of Lila, with supervised visitation for me. He wanted me to move out of our house. He wanted to divide our assets, with the majority going to him for Lila's care. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. I've been thinking about this for days, and I can't continue in a marriage with someone who has so little respect for me, for our family, for herself. Michael, please. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work through it. Can we? Because from where I'm sitting, you don't think you did anything wrong. You blame me for your behavior. You blame everyone except yourself. That's not true. Isn't it? You told me it was my fault you acted that way because I don't pay enough attention to you. You told our coworkers that I'm controlling and boring. You've been texting with Ryan Beck, encouraging his advances. I haven't been encouraging him. Michael pulled out his phone and began reading. Text from you to Ryan, yesterday at 2:15 p.m. My husband doesn't understand me the way you do. Text from this morning at 8:30 a.m. I keep thinking about Friday night and how alive you made me feel. My face burned with shame. I had sent those texts in moments of anger and confusion, but seeing them read back to me made them sound terrible. I was upset. I wasn't thinking clearly. You're right. You weren't thinking about me, or Lila, or the consequences of your actions. You were thinking about yourself and what you wanted in the moment. So you're just giving up? 7 years of marriage, and you're throwing it away over one mistake? I'm not throwing anything away, Adelis. You already did that when you decided your marriage vows meant less than getting attention from another man. I stared at the separation papers, the legal language blurring through my tears. What about Lila? You're going to destroy her family over this? I'm protecting her from growing up thinking this is what a healthy relationship looks like. I'm protecting her from having a mother who prioritizes her own selfish desires over her daughter's well-being. You bastard! You're trying to take my daughter away from me. I'm trying to provide stability for our daughter while her mother figures out what she actually wants from life. Michael stood up and walked to the window. When he turned back to me, his expression was sad but resolute. I loved you, Adelis. I still love the woman I married. But that woman has been replaced by someone I don't recognize. Someone who lies, who cheats, who blames everyone else for her problems. I can change. I can be better. Can you? Because you've had 4 days to show me that you understand the gravity of what you did, and instead you've been texting with your coworker and telling people that this is all my fault. I had no response to that because it was true. You have until Friday to decide whether you want to sign the separation agreement voluntarily or whether you want to make this harder on everyone, especially Lila. And if I don't sign, Then I file for divorce and full custody, and we do this the hard way, with lawyers and depositions and all of your behavior from Friday night becoming part of the public record. The threat hung in the air between us. I looked at my husband of 7 years and realized I didn't know him at all. The gentle, accommodating man I had taken for granted was gone, replaced by someone strategic and unforgiving. I need time to think, I said finally. You have until Friday. I suggest you use that time wisely. That night, Michael slept in the guest room again, but this time I heard him on the phone with someone, speaking in low, careful tones. I pressed my ear to the wall, but could only make out fragments. Documented evidence, custody evaluation, asset protection. My husband wasn't just leaving me. He was building a case against me, and I was beginning to realize that I had given him all the ammunition he needed. Wednesday brought a call from my sister Helen. She lived 2 hours away and rarely called unless something was wrong. Adelis, what the hell is going on? Evelyn just called me, screaming about some video and Michael wanting a divorce. My mother-in-law had reached out to my own family. The humiliation was spreading like a virus, infecting every relationship I had. It's complicated, Helen. Complicated? She said you were dancing on tables and kissing some guy from work while Michael was home with Lila. It wasn't like that. Everyone's making it sound worse than it was. So you didn't kiss another man? The question hung in the air. I could lie, but what was the point? Everyone seemed to know already. I was drunk. It was a mistake. But Michael is overreacting. He's trying to take Lila away from me. Jesus, Adelis, what were you thinking? I was thinking that I'm 32 years old, and I felt invisible in my own life. I was thinking that maybe I deserved to feel attractive and desired for one night. By cheating on your husband. I didn't cheat. It was one kiss, and I immediately regretted it. One kiss that you lied about until you got caught. Even my own sister was taking Michael's side. I felt more alone than ever. Helen, I need you to support me right now. I made a mistake, but I'm still your sister. Of course you're my sister, but that doesn't mean I have to support your bad decisions. Michael is a good man, and Lila needs stability. So you think he should take my daughter away from me? I think you should figure out what's more important to you, your family, or whatever fantasy you're chasing with this Ryan guy. After she hung up, I sat in my empty house feeling completely isolated. Michael had taken Lila to his mother's house for the afternoon, leaving me alone with my thoughts and regrets. I tried calling Kelly, but she didn't answer. I tried 2 other coworkers who had been at the party, but their responses were awkward and brief. Word had clearly spread about my suspension, and no one wanted to be associated with the office scandal. Finally, I called Ryan. He answered on the first ring. Adelise, I was hoping you'd call. How are you holding up? Not great. I'm suspended from work. My husband wants a divorce, and everyone thinks I'm some kind of monster. Hey, don't let them make you feel guilty for finally living your life. You were incredible Friday night, confident, sexy, alive. Don't let them shame you back into being invisible. His words were exactly what I wanted to hear, but something about his tone bothered me. He sounded excited about my misery, like it meant opportunity for him. Ryan, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Do you have feelings for me, or am I just a conquest to you? There was a pause. Of course I have feelings for you. You're an amazing woman who deserves better than what she's getting at home. That's not what I asked. Another pause, longer this time. Look, Adelis, we have chemistry, real chemistry. Where it goes from here depends on what you want. What I want is to save my marriage and keep my family together. Is that really what you want? Because you didn't seem very interested in your marriage Friday night. His words stung because they contained truth. I hadn't been thinking about Michael or Lila when I was dancing on that table. I had been thinking about myself and how good the attention felt. I have to go, I said. Don't shut me out, Adelis. I'm the only one who understands what you're going through. But as I hung up, I realized that wasn't true. Ryan didn't understand anything. He was just waiting for my marriage to implode so he could swoop in and take advantage. Thursday afternoon, I was picking Lila up from school when I ran into Jennifer Walsh, another mother from Lila's class. She had always been friendly before, but today she looked uncomfortable when she saw me. "Hi, Adelise. How are you doing?" "I'm fine. How's Emma?" "She's good. Listen, I hope you don't mind me asking, but is everything okay at home? Lila seems a little withdrawn lately." My heart clenched. My drama was affecting my daughter in ways I hadn't even considered. "We're going through a rough patch, but we're working on it." "Of course, it's just, well, Emma said Lila told her that Mommy and Daddy are fighting because Mommy was bad." The words hit me like a physical blow. My 6-year-old daughter thought I was bad. She was carrying the weight of our marital problems and blaming herself the way children do. "Thank you for telling me. I'll talk to Lila. I'm sure it will work out. You and Michael seem like such a solid couple." If only she knew. That evening, I tried to have a gentle conversation with Lila about the tension at home. "Sweetheart, you know that Daddy and I love you very much, right?" "Yes, Mommy." "And you know that when grown-ups have disagreements, it's not because of anything you did." She looked up at me with Michael's eyes. "But you were bad, weren't you, Mommy? That's why Daddy is sad." The innocence in her question broke my heart. "Mommy made some mistakes, baby, but that doesn't mean I'm bad, and it doesn't mean it's your fault. Are you and Daddy going to get divorced like Emma's parents?" I pulled her into my arms, fighting back tears. "I don't know, sweetheart, but no matter what happens, we both love you more than anything in the world." She hugged me tight, and I realized that my actions hadn't just hurt Michael. They had hurt the most innocent person in our family, the one who deserved protection from adult problems. That night, I made a decision. I would sign Michael's separation agreement, not because I thought it was fair, but because continuing to fight would only hurt Lila more. But when I went to tell Michael, I found him in his study on the phone with someone. "Yes, I understand. The deposition is scheduled for next week. No, she hasn't signed the separation agreement yet. I have documentation of everything, including the text messages and social media posts." He was talking to his lawyer. Even though I had decided to cooperate, he was still building his case against me. The realization that he trusted me so little stung more than I expected. When he saw me in the doorway, he quickly ended the call. "I've decided to sign the separation agreement," I said. "Good. That's the right choice for everyone." "Michael, I want you to know that I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not just about Friday night, but about how I've handled everything since then." He studied my face for a long moment. "I believe you're sorry, Adelis, but I don't think you're sorry for the right reasons." "What do you mean?" "I think you're sorry you got caught. Sorry there were consequences. Sorry your life got complicated. But I don't think you're sorry you kissed another man, or let him touch you, or lied to me about it." His words forced me to confront an uncomfortable truth. Was I sorry I had betrayed my marriage, or was I just sorry it had blown up in my face? "I don't know," I admitted. "I don't know anything anymore." "That's the most honest thing you've said to me in a week." Friday morning, I signed the separation papers. As I handed them back to Michael, I felt like I was signing away 7 years of my life. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now you move out, and we figure out how to co-parent Leela, while we decide whether this marriage can be saved." "Do you think it can be?" Michael looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. "I think that depends on whether you can figure out who you want to be. The woman I married, or the woman who danced on that table." As I packed my belongings that afternoon, I realized I didn't know the answer to that question. And until I did, I had no right to ask Michael to trust me with his heart again. Moving into a studio apartment across town was the most humiliating experience of my adult life. At 32, I was starting over with nothing but a suitcase of clothes and a crushing sense of failure. The apartment was tiny, furnished with someone else's cast-off furniture, and smelled faintly of the previous tenant's cigarettes. but it was all I could afford on my savings, especially since Michael had frozen our joint accounts. My suspension from work had been extended pending the completion of HR's investigation. Sarah Martinez had called to inform me that several employees had come forward with complaints about the hostile work environment created by my behavior with Ryan Beck. The investigation should conclude within 2 weeks, she had said. At that time, we'll determine whether termination is appropriate. I was facing the very real possibility of losing my job on top of everything else. The first weekend in my new apartment, I was supposed to have Leela for supervised visitation. Michael had arranged for his brother Lucas to be present, which felt like another humiliation. Lucas had always been cordial to me, but when he arrived with Leela Saturday morning, his disgust was barely concealed. 2 hours, he said curtly. I'll be waiting in the car. Lucas, you can come in. I'd rather not. Lila looked around the tiny apartment with wide eyes. Is this where you live now, Mummy? Just for a little while, sweetheart. It's very small. Yes, it is, but we can still have fun together. I had planned activities, coloring books, a movie, snacks, but Lila seemed subdued. She kept asking when she could go home to Daddy. Don't you want to spend time with Mommy? Yes, but I miss my room. And Daddy said he would make pancakes for lunch. Every word was a knife in my heart. My daughter preferred her father's pancakes to time with me. And who could blame her? I had disrupted her entire world for one night of selfish gratification. When Lucas came to pick her up, Leela hugged me dutifully, but ran eagerly to him. See you next weekend, Mummy. After they left, I sat in my tiny apartment and cried until I had no tears left. Monday brought a call from a lawyer, not Michael's lawyer, but someone representing Meridian Solutions. Mrs. Vane, I'm calling to inform you that the company has completed its investigation into your conduct. Based on the findings, your employment is being terminated, effective immediately. What findings? Multiple witnesses confirmed that you engaged in inappropriate sexual behavior with coworkers at a company-related event, and that this behavior continued in the workplace, creating a hostile environment for other employees. That's not what happened. Mrs. Vane, we have video evidence, witness statements, and documentation of inappropriate text messages with a coworker. The decision is final. I hung up and immediately called Ryan, but his number went straight to voicemail. I tried again an hour later, then again that afternoon. Finally, I drove to the office building and waited in the parking lot until I saw him leaving. Ryan, I called, hurrying to catch up with him. He turned, and his expression was not welcoming. Adelis, I heard about your termination. I'm sorry. Are you? Because I just found out that multiple employees gave statements against me. Were you one of them? The parking lot still smelled like hot asphalt and fryer grease when Ryan shrugged and said, I was protecting my job, Adelis. HR doesn't care about nuance. Nuance. That was the word he used for the months he spent texting me fire emojis and telling me I deserved to feel wanted. I laughed, one sharp, ugly sound. You told them I chased you. That's what the screenshots show. He had the decency to look away when he said it. You're the one who kept saying Michael didn't appreciate you. I just agreed. He walked off like we'd been discussing the weather. That night, Michael's voice on the phone was quiet, almost kind, which somehow hurt worse. I'm not happy you lost your job, he said, but I'm not shocked the world finally noticed who you've decided to be. Your whole family hates me now. They hate what you did to Lila, he corrected. There's a difference. I wanted to scream that I hated it too, that I woke up every morning choking on regret, but the words felt pathetic even in my own head. 3 days later, the process server handed me the new petition like he was delivering pizza. Full custody, supervised visitation, a psychological evaluation that quoted my 5-year-old daughter saying, Mummy was bad and now I'm scared to sleep at her house. I read it in the hallway, slid down the wall, and sat on the carpet, until the overhead light clicked off on its timer. Court was worse than I'd imagined. The video played, me on that table, drunk on cheap vodka and cheaper attention, laughing while Ryan's hands slid up my thighs. The judge didn't flinch, just made notes with a Mont Blanc pen that probably cost more than my monthly rent now. My lawyer, 29, overwhelmed, free, mumbled something about a difficult period and capacity for growth. The gavel fell like a door slamming on every room I used to belong in. 6 months later, I wear a name tag that says deli and smells like bacon grease. I smile at strangers while I refill their coffee because tips are how the lights stay on. Lila comes once a month. She clings to the social worker's hand the whole drive. We colour for 45 minutes inside a beige room with a two-way mirror. She calls me Mommy, the way you say a word you're not sure still fits. Last visit, she asked, "Are you done being bad now?" I told her I was trying very hard to be good. She nodded solemnly, then asked if Daddy was coming soon. Michael picked her up at 4 on the dot. He met my eyes for half a second, long enough for me to see there was nothing left there to reach for. I heard Ryan got engaged. The new girl is 26, posts Bible verses, and apparently thinks he's a hero for setting boundaries with the crazy married woman who stalked him. Some nights I still open my phone and scroll to the old photos. Michael carrying Lila on his shoulders at the zoo, the three of us asleep on the couch after Christmas morning, my head on his chest, like the world couldn't touch us. I don't cry anymore. There's not enough water left in me. I just close the album, lock the door, and walk to the diner for the dinner shift. The girl who danced on that table thought she was breaking free. Turns out she was only breaking everything that was holding her together. And some things, once shattered, don't get put back, even if you spend the rest of your life on your knees trying to gather the pieces.